What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are going to continue our coverage over Spawn for Spawn Sundays, where we actually do pick up with Spawn number 27. Now, when it comes to Spawn number 27, it's all about the idea of a new character coming after Spawn. Now, when it comes to this new character, this character right here truly believes that is doing the Lord work, God's work, by going out into the world and hunting down people who would disagree or work against the power of the Lord. And so this guy truly believes that God is right now guiding him in the right direction to take down bad people or evil things that are on the planet Earth. And once this character is able to take care of different problems for God, then God will give him more powers, or God will let him inside his empire or his temple, or technically heaven. And so with that being said, this is Spawn number 27, and Spawn going up against a character known as Cursed. And so when we get into the first few pages of Spawn number 27, we actually do pick up right now with our new character known as Curse. Now, when it comes to Curse, we don't get a chance to see him at first, but at the end of the section we do. Now, when it comes to Curse, he is technically right now going over to New York. And the reason why he is going to New York is, of course, for Spawn. Now, this is not him hunting down Spawn because Spawn could be evil. No, instead, this is him right now going to New York to actually test Spawn, because right now when it comes to Curse, he truly believes that Spawn is the chosen one from God. Like, technically, God has chosen Spawn to basically do God's work on the planet. And so right now it's Curse saying, let me go to New York and actually test out Spawn to make sure that Spawn is the chosen one for my God, for my Lord. And so, of course, he does fly over to New York. Now, when he does arrive in New York, of course, he is confronted by so many different problems in New York. So homeless, drugs, and of course, sex workers. But he does ignore all of them. And he says, listen, I'll pray for them and for their sins. But I came here in New York for one mission, to actually test out Spawn, to make sure he is a chosen one from my Lord. And so then we jump over to Spawn. Now, when we do pick up with Spawn, it's him right now technically grieving. Now, the reason why he is grieving because the death of his close friend Bobby. Bobby was also a homeless person that was staying in the area that Spawn stays in with the rest of the homeless people. Now, the reason why Bobby is dead because Youngbloods, in another book we did not cover, came after Spawn and technically end up killing Bobby. Now, of course, for Spawn, he feels very sad. And the reason why, because to him, Bobby died because the Youngbloods were technically coming after Spawn. And so right now, it's Spawn saying, if the Youngbloods were not looking for me, and matter of fact, if I had stayed away from you guys, Bobby would not be dead right now. Now, here comes the big problem though, because you do have Spawn use his demonic powers as a way to bring Bobby back to life. Now, we already know, usually when it comes to magic, but on top of that, magic, when you use it to bring someone back to life, there is going to be a big price for that. And so, of course, right now, the question is, what is going to be that price? Now, that is also the moment you have Spawn say that he does not feel so good. And so with that being said, it seems like the price is already affecting Spawn right now. Then here comes the problem for Spawn, because while Spawn is weakened for resurrecting Bobby, well, that is the moment where you have Spawn actually be attacked by no other than the Curse. He came from behind and actually blast Spawn right through his chest. So now, of course, usually most heroes would be dead. We already know that this is Spawn. He is not dead. Matter of fact, we have seen it so many times. We already know that sooner or later, he is going to get right back up again and fight against Curse. Now, for Curse, he truly believed that he had won, because right now Spawn is laying dead. But on top of that, you have Curse say Spawn is not the chosen one, because if he was the chosen one, he would not be that easy to defeat if he was chosen by God. And so, of course, you have Curse leave, and of course, you do have the rest of the homeless people wondering, what in the world to do when it comes to Spawn. They have to move him somewhere else before someone sees a dead body in their area. Now, on top of that, we kind of find out that some of the homeless people are actually working for Curse, and apparently they were sharing information about Spawn over to him. Either way, the ones who are with Curse, they also leave with Curse, but the rest stay with Spawn to hopefully wake him back up. But then we have to jump over to Wanda and Terry. Now remember, when it comes to Wanda, Wanda is the ex-wife of Al Simmons, aka Spawn, before he had died. And when it comes to Terry, Terry is the old best friend of Spawn before he had died. Now with that being said, the two characters did get married a couple years after Spawn had died. Now with that being said, you do have the two characters right now working together to figure out why in the world was CIA and also the Mafia coming after Terry. Now we know why, because Jason Wynn was trying to use Terry as a scapegoat. But for right now, our two characters, they have no idea why in the world he was technically being targeted by the CIA and the Mafia. Either way, you have Terry tell Wanda that he was able to find a whole bunch of folders. And right now, him and her are going to go through those folders to hopefully find some kind of information that could actually help them figure out why he was targeted. But the first person they believe who could be involved is, of course, Jason Wynn. But then we jump over to Curse, and when we do jump over to Curse, it's him right now technically giving a sermon. Now, when it comes to his sermon, it's actually really him more of telling the people around him his actual origin story, where we do learn that at a very young age, he was always praying to the Lord. But the problem was, though, the Lord was not answering his prayers. And so what he did was he realized that maybe the reason why the Lord is not answering his prayers because he has not done a sacrifice to show the Lord that he was very serious into doing God's work. And so that is the moment where you actually have Curse say he cut his own eye out, he scratched his face, and he also cut off one of his arms as a way to show the Lord that he was very serious in doing God's work. Now, of course, God still did not answer him. Now, when it came to the doctor told his parents that he's doing all of this for attention, but not realizing that this man truly believes that what he was doing to his body was a way to get his prayers answered. Now, of course, Curse said he did follow his parents' rule and try to live the life they wanted to have him live. And that means that he went to college, got a degree, and got all the money. But once he got all the money, he then built himself a brand new body, the one we're seeing right now, where he believed that with this new body and maybe going out there and doing God's work, sooner or later, God would recognize him and finally answer his prayers. And so that is the moment where you do have Spawn come right back for round 2 against Curse, but this time to actually make it a fair battle. Because last time when it came to Curse, when he took out Spawn, he did it behind Spawn's back when Spawn was not looking. And so now Spawn's saying, 1, you should make sure your target is always dead, but 2, you are a punk for trying to kill me behind my back and not actually trying to fight me head on like most men do. And so of course it does lead into an actual battle between the two characters. Now with that being said, the battle does kind of lead into a debate between beliefs, because when it comes to Curse, remember, he truly believes in God, but at the same time though, for Spawn, even though he met a devil and also angels as well, Spawn is still kind of hesitant to say that God is actually real. And so of course, when the two are fighting against one another, their beliefs are right now bouncing off each other. But their battle does go on for a few pages. But then we have to jump back over to Wanda and of course also Terry. Now when we do, this is actually Wanda and Terry still looking over the folders that Terry had brought home from his office. Now with that being said, it's also Terry and Wanda realizing that when it comes to all the different folders, they're not finding a lot of different kind of information, but they are finding one name that keeps popping up, Jason Wynn. Now that right there is actually very important, and the reason why, because when it comes to Jason Wynn, he was the guy that got Al Simmons killed. Now Terry has no idea. Now Al somewhat does know that now, but at the very beginning of this series, Al had no idea that his own boss was the reason why he died. But right now it seems like Terry was technically being a scapegoat for Jason Wynn, which honestly we already knew that, because remember, when it came to Spawn selling a bunch of weapons to take out Overkill, those weapons were supposed to be under Jason Wynn's watch. And of course, when those weapons had disappeared, Jason Wynn got in trouble and tried to say it was Terry. Now, of course, that did backfire. And so right now is Terry saying, we should look more into Jason Wynn. Now, on top of that, it's also Terry wondering if he does know Spawn. Now, honestly, he does, but Terry has not figured out yet that Spawn is actually Al Simmons. And so right now, it's Wanda and Terry saying they should work together to figure out who is the Spawn character and why was he trying to protect Terry so bad in the earlier storyline. Honestly, the book kind of ends on a very high note where we actually do see Spawn still fighting against Curse, but the book actually ends on that note right there, with Spawn just beating down on Curse, but being so mad at the idea that Curse is coming after him when Spawn is at his lowest point right now in his life. And so with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.